Hello, hello guys, happy Wednesday. I'm here today. I'm going to show you how to apply a polyacrylic top coat to a painted piece of furniture. If you've been following along, you've seen probably my other videos. I'm trying to do a start to finish of video series showing you how I paint furniture. So the first video was, I think, kind of how to clean and then prime your furniture, do just a simple one color on a piece of furniture, and then now I'm going to top coat it. So my go-to top coat is Dixie Belle Clear Satin. It's this one here. I've used lots of different polys. I just find this one like really user friendly. It's really thick and it's kind of this milky color. You can kind of see it like looks white like when you're applying it, but it dries clear. It also, I feel like, has a longer like open dry time. So when you're working with polys or top coats in general, they dry really fast. And then that's when you get your brush strokes. And so, you know, I hear a lot of complaints like, you know, I see brush strokes on my piece after I top coated it. That's just your application and also how you're applying it. So application and your product, I should say. So that's why I like this one. Now, I'm not saying that my finishes are like completely brush stroke free. In fact, I'm working on a piece right now that's black. I hate black. It shows everything. And I've tried multiple different methods just to see what kind of works for me and to also tell you guys what has worked. And I still find brushing this on to be the best. I've also used the Dixie Belle Blue Sponge. I actually use this one a lot to apply gator hide with this pantyhose around it. Just helps it glide more smoothly, but that's only really good for like these flat surfaces. It's not great for like going around details because you're going to get product buildup around your details. I've also used these staining pads, and if you guys are here, I don't see comments, so maybe no one's commented, but if you're here, feel free to comment. These HDX, they're called staining pads, and I don't apply stain with these. I apply stain with chip brushes, and then I wipe back with these. But I do use these for my top coats sometimes as well. So I'm just telling you this because I say experiment and see what's easiest for you. I've also seen people use socks, like just wrap their hand in a sock and apply it that way. I've tried it, it didn't really work well for me. I guess I work better with a brush. So that's why I prefer to use a brush. So this is an option. This is an option, the Dixie Belle Blue Sponge, and spraying your top coats. That's always going to give you the best finish, but I can't always take my pieces outside and spray them. So I don't have a spray booth. It's not very practical, although I do have a great sprayer. So I may consider doing that in the future. So my favorite brush, as you probably know already, is the Dixie Belle Mini, and that's what I'm going to use to apply my top coat. So this has been painted 2 coats of Buttercream by Dixie Belle. And as again, you may know, I like to sand just a little bit between every coat, basically, just to keep, because it's kind of rough feeling right now. I want that poly to glide along this piece. So I want to sand it just slightly. So I'm going to use the Dixie Belle sanding sponge, which is the equivalent of like a 320 grit sandpaper. So that would work as well. And I'm just going to sand this lightly. Just to get it kind of smooth. I run my hand along as I go just to make sure it feels smooth. Or if I missed any spots. I actually just touched up a couple of areas with paint, so I'm hoping that it's completely dry. There were just a couple spots that needed more coverage. So if you're here, oh, hi Renee. Thanks for joining. This is a very impromptu live. My kids are out of the house for like, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes. I don't have very much time. Sorry, you might lose me for a second. There we go. So again, I'm just sanding it to get it smooth. Feels like butter when you sand chalk paint. I love it. Okay, so now I'm going to push these in. I probably should have grabbed a tool to pull them back out, but when I'm going to top coat it, I'm going to have all these drawers in. I don't worry so much about these details, like, because you can't really sand these details super well, but okay, that side's good. Okay, so that is about it. Try to hit this leg a little bit. Just to smooth it out a little bit. So after the top coat, the fun will begin. We'll do some transfers and some stripes on this thing. Okay, so it feels pretty smooth to me. Let me just fill this corners. The corners always kind of miss. So you could leave this as is if you wanted to, and not top coat it. But again, I really want a nice durable finish, as well as it being water resistant. So you could set a glass on it if you wanted to, although I wouldn't recommend leaving anything wet, you know, on the surface for very long, because it is a water-based product, so it could reactivate if you have, like, you get liquids on, standing liquids on it, it can reactivate the poly and the paint. So I wouldn't leave anything on it long term, obviously, but my rag has something on it. That's rough. I'm just wiping it down. It doesn't create a lot of sanding dust, but just gonna make sure. Okay, so we can dive into the poly part here now. So I do, I think the other important factor is to dampen your brush a little bit. That's just to help minimize the brush strokes on the piece. So just damp, just like that. Just use my misting bottle to dampen it. And then make sure you stir, I already stirred prior to the video, make sure you stir your top coats really, really well, just with a spoon or popsicle stick or something. Yeah, I already stirred it earlier, just making sure, yeah. So we'll start with the top and just work my way down. I'm gonna try to get you guys as close as I can. Let me see if I can reposition this so you guys can see better, hopefully. I need to have really good lighting when I'm working on this so I can see spots I've missed. So that's about what it looks like there. Try to do long, even strokes and not overwork it. Because when you overwork it, you'll feel your brush dragging. And that's, again, when you're gonna get brush marks when they dry. Like if you can see brush strokes when you're applying it, it's going to dry with those brush strokes. So try to do just like this, long, even. That area is good now. So I'm just gonna move on to the next spot. You almost always need 2 coats because you're gonna miss spots on your first coat, and that's fine. That's why you go back and do your second, so you can go over any spots that you missed the first time. It's better, I guess, to not, to miss a spot and have to go back over it after it's dry. Then if you, say I finished this top and I saw a spot, I finished it and I saw a spot I missed up here and I wanted to go back and try to get it, it's already gonna have started to dry, and if you go back over that spot, it's gonna drag your brush and then you're gonna have those brush marks. I also, you probably noticed too, I use a lot of gator hide over this product. That's just because this product is so easy to lay down and it helps your gator hide. Gator hide just is not super user friendly. I even have a hard time getting gator hide to be like flawless. So I try and put this top coat down first so my gator hide will kind of glide more smoothly over this existing poly I have on it. Gator hide is another Dixie Belle product that is a water-based polyacrylic. I don't know exactly how it's so different than the other Dixie Belle polyacrylics. It might be more of a lacquer or have some sort of, I don't know, it's almost like it has this gluey substance to it. So it dries super, super fast and is really hard to apply with a brush. But I love the durability that gator hide gives because it's water repellent. So it's better for your tabletops and any surfaces that are going to get used a lot. I really like gator hide. And I usually do, so I do like two coats of the satin, followed by usually 2 coats of gator hide. And I typically only put gator hide on my tops. I don't always gator hide the bodies of my pieces. So do you see what I'm doing here? I just very light, once I get the product on, just really light movements with my brush. Like I'm barely pushing. I'm just making sure that it's smooth and that I'm not seeing streaks. So I know it's hard for you guys to see it on camera, but so far, I mean, has some streaks. That's okay. I'm gonna second coat it. Once I second coat it, you can polish this a little bit to kind of minimize some of your streaks. And the way I polish it is with steel wool. That works really, really well to polish your pieces. Hi, Brittany. Okay, so let's just do the front, I think, guys, because I know this is not like the most entertaining video, but okay. Like I said, for now I'm just gonna leave the drawers in so I can get these details up here. So, and then I'll pull them out. I'll pull them out once it's dry, and then I'll do the lips of the pieces. Just being careful not to like don't let the poly get stuck in a corner somewhere and dry. Because if you have a really thick area of poly that you leave and it dries, it's gonna dry yellow. Everyone asks about polys and top coats and are they gonna yellow my piece? I primed this with shellac primer, if you recall. And shellac primer has excellent tannin, odor, and stain blocking abilities. And I gave it 2 coats of primer because I was painting this white. I wanted to make sure that I really blocked those wood tannins from pulling through. So I should not get any yellowing because of it, because I blocked the wood, the tannins. So there should be no yellowing. The poly doesn't typically cause yellowing. If you get yellowing, it's from your prep. So just think about that. Make sure you prime your pieces, especially if you're gonna paint white. You need to prime your pieces with a good primer. Now, I guess poly could yellow over time. I've only been painting furniture for a few years, but there are some polys that have yellowed my furniture, but not the Dixie Belle ones, at least not in my experience. And that was over time, like when they went on fine, like over a gray piece of furniture, the poly went on great, and then a couple years after that, I noticed it had a little bit of a yellow tinge, so it did yellow. But again, that wasn't with the Dixie Belle product, that was, I believe at the time I was using Annie Sloan. Don't quote me on that though, because I don't recall what it was, but it wasn't Dixie Belle. So that's not to say that polys can't yellow over time. So just long, even strokes along the piece to make sure. And I try to look at it from different angles to make sure that I have good coverage and that there's no brush strokes kind of left over. So once I'm finished with this first coat, I'll let it dry probably at least 4 hours or so. I typically always wait 24 hours, but I like to get to the next step. So I'll probably let it dry like 4 to 5 hours, do the second coat, and then tomorrow, well, maybe not tomorrow, since tomorrow's Thanksgiving, maybe Friday, I'll go live again. I'll try to go live again, and we'll do the stripes and touch on the transfers a little bit. Actually, probably, yeah, we'll probably do transfers next. Okay. Okay, you can still see. Hi, Kathy. Are you working today? I was so glad. My husband's working, but he offered to take the kids out of the house for a little bit so I could do this. So I'm like, yes, please do. Driving me crazy. School break is always hard for me because I like try to get all these projects out and I have them help me paint, but they just like, they don't like to sit for very long. They're just kind of like me. Like I get kind of restless and I'm constantly moving and doing things, and I think they're all the same way. Like they can only do like a project for 10 minutes and then they can only watch TV for half an hour, and it's like, then they want to go outside, and I'm just like, I've learned that I can only, like, I'll paint for half an hour and then they want to go outside. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll stop painting and we'll go outside and I'll sand out in the garage while they're playing. So I'm always just finding something I can do wherever my kids want to be. And get this other leg here. Okay, I might turn you guys. Let's see. Let's do. I'm just gonna finish the back of this leg though real quick. I can. Before it starts to dry. Okay, let's do this side. So for these longer pieces, I typically try to work this direction since it's easier to do, you know, your brush strokes that way since it's not as far to go. So we'll probably work that direction, except for right in here. Obviously I have to go down. And I see a place that I applied kind of thick right here. So you want to get that wiped back. I saw like a little, it was just kind of thick right there. So do look over it before you move on, because you'll catch where you have a heavy area or a drip. Now, if it dries and you come back and you see, oh, there's a spot there that was really thick, you can sand it. It's fine. Just sand and repaint. I actually sometimes sandwich in, I call sandwich it in my coats, where I've made mistakes where, okay, so I've painted, like say the black, for instance, this table I have right next to me is black, and I painted it, I top coated it, and it was terrible. Like it was so streaky, I don't know what I did. So I just painted back over it. Painted right over the poly. I didn't, because water-based you can do that. I sanded it a little bit, and then I repainted it, and then I re-polyed, so I just tried again. And that actually does make your piece a little more durable because you're sandwiching in these coats. So that's okay to do. I tell people all the time, you mess up on your poly, if it's water-based poly you're working with, your chalk paints, you know, water-based, you just paint back. Now, of course, you couldn't, if you had a transfer over it or something, you couldn't do that, but mine was just a solid paint color, so it was easy enough for me to say, okay, I don't like it. What do? I tried to buff it and get it smooth. It was not working, so I just painted back over it again, and that's why I buy so much paint, Kathy, because I go do paint like crazy, because I just am learning still, guys, right along with you. So, if I could avoid having to do the top coats, I think I'm gonna, from now on, like my solid colors, I don't know that I'm gonna be using Dixie Belle quite as much. I think I'm gonna try Paint Couture or Fusion or Wise Owl, something that maybe has a little bit of a built-in top coat, because it is a lot of extra steps when you are painting a solid. You already have to do like 2 coats of paint, 2 coats of poly. It's a lot. So if you can find a paint that has like a built-in top coat, that works a little bit better for application and for just cutting back on your steps. However, again, depending on what you're painting, even though if it has a built-in top coat, that doesn't mean that you don't necessarily still need to top coat it. There's like Fusion. Fusion is a acrylic-based paint, and it dries really like hard as nails. I actually really like the way that paint goes on. But they recommend if it's on a tabletop or something you're going to be using, that you do top coat it. So that's not to say you can avoid top coats altogether, but like for this is a lot of steps. You know, it's 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of paint, 2 coats of poly. So it takes me a long time to finish a piece of furniture because of all these steps sometimes. But it's worth it. Like, it's a really good paint, it's a really good product. I like working with it. I can easily find Dixie Belle, which I also like. When I have to go searching for paint and buy it online, I don't like that. I'm impatient. I like to have it like right now, especially when I get inspired. I'm like, oh, I want to paint this color, but then I don't have it. So see, like I missed a spot like right in here. I know you guys can't see that, but because it's been a little bit, I don't want to run my brush back through it right now, so that's fine. I'm going to get it on the second coat. Okay, so now it's just the other side, and that is it. I'll try to show you. It's kind of starting to dry up at the top. Here, how do I turn this thing here? Turn it without touching it. Easier said than done. Okay. So my last side. I will give you another little tip that I discovered. Well, I discovered it a while ago. I just sometimes forget to use the tip, my own tips. You can tint your poly with a little bit of your paint color. Now white, I don't need to tint poly because poly is clear anyway. But if you are painting darker colors like black and gray, then you just add just a teeny bit just to tint it of your paint color. So that is what I did on the black piece I told you I was struggling with. I just completely forgot to tint it. So I tinted this stuff right here. I put a little bit in a bowl and just a teeny bit, I don't even know, like 1/4 of a teaspoon? I don't know, not very much of my paint color. And then I applied my poly and it was much better. Like I can still see some streaks on it. I'm gonna try to go back through it again one more time. If I can't get it streak free, I'm just gonna have to call it good because I've tried everything. I've tried everything. So tinting your polyacrylics will help. Again, light colors, you don't need to do that. I don't think it's necessary. Okay, just need to do the lip of the drawers, and I think that should be good. I was trying to wait the top to dry so I could kind of show you guys what it looks like dry. Let me grab something to open these drawers. Okay, an Allen wrench. An Allen wrench works great for opening drawers. usually. The other reason I want to try to do this before the poly dries is because the poly can kind of gather up here. When I was painting them with the clothes, it can kind of gather up on the lip and get kind of thick. So you want to catch those, or try to not apply it too thick in the cracks of the drawers. See if we can get this one. Let's see. It might be a little bit stuck. No? He's not stuck. He's just stubborn. There we go. Okay, so last drawer, and then let this dry. Well, maybe. Okay. I know I said I was going to second coat this, but then the more I thought about it, the more I think we should actually apply the transfers next and then top coat over the transfer. So instead, not tomorrow, but Friday, I will go ahead and we'll do a video on transfers and or stripes to see how much I can get done, because I'm going to do some stripes probably along both sides and on the front of this drawer here, and then transfers along here. So we'll try to do that Friday, and I'll top coat over that, do some gold maybe accents and such, and then we'll be done with it. So that was it, guys. Thank you for joining. I know it was kind of impromptu and a lot of you guys are busy preparing for Thanksgiving, but I'm sure you guys will catch this when you can. So if you have any questions, you can just put them in the comments there and I'll try to answer them. So yeah, that is it. You guys have a great Thanksgiving, and thanks again for watching.